Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we continue our discussion on Magnus's plans for the galaxy, and how I believe it's all building to the return of Leman Russ. General spoiler warning to begin, as today we will be referencing events from across the Warhammer 40k universe. As always, I really recommend you read the stories for yourself first, without spoilers, as that's the best way to enjoy the lore for yourself. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. So on Wednesday, we discussed the current status of the Prospero system, and how, to me, it feels like a grave error for the Imperium to not be focusing on it. If you missed our previous conversation, I'll drop a link in the corner so you can go and check that one out first. However, as we discussed there, we have had clear sightings of Magnus's attempts to rebuild his one-time home, as stated in Mephiston, City of Light. Much of Prospero was still charred, a vitrified wasteland, as it had been for 10,000 years. But it was alive with industry. Every withered peak and scarred gulf was crowded with construction sites, barracks and weapons batteries, armories and manufactoria, as well as huge temples to house the Cyclops' libraries. Magnus was rebuilding the Thousand Suns home, long ages after it was destroyed by the Wolves of Russ. But he was not rebuilding it as it was before the fall. There were no gilded spires or crystal pyramids. Prospero would be an anvil designed to hammer out the tools of war. And not only is Magnus rebuilding Prospero not as it was, but as a forge for his new war and empire, it appears the Imperium has largely abandoned this region of space to boot. At least for now, according to the words of Dante. The Prospero system is rife with heresy. I struggled to glean much from Lord Guilliman's attendance on the subject, but they gave me the impression he's effectively ceded control of that whole region to the arch enemy. Now, in fairness to Guilliman, he's got a galaxy to worry about, not just one system or region. And though, as I discussed in that last upload, I personally feel leaving Magnus to work and plot his schemes is a huge mistake, it's not like Guilliman hasn't been busy. His Terran crusade to the Sol system, building and launching his Indomitus crusades, leading his own fleet, and cleansing Ultramar from his brother Mortarian's wrath. And now he appears destined to launch his next crusade across the Great Rift. I mean, Rabute doesn't get many off days, to say the least. And despite my doubts, or my fears, I think we can all agree, if Guilliman has decided to cede this region to Magnus for now, then there must be a reason behind it. A logical reason. Outside of the lore, of course, only one story can be told at a time. It's simply not Magnus's turn in the spotlight right now. With the Lion returning, and seeds having been laid for years about Guilliman's intent to cross the rift, it's surely a certainty it's going to build to their reunion. And I can't help but feel this could all be working perfectly for another reunion too. Because for every novel, event, time shift that passes with Magnus still building his new kingdom, it helps to build and add to the threat that Magnus represents. And with it also revealed that Magnus is seeking to continue a corrupted version of the Emperor's original designs, the evolution of mankind into a truly psychic race, it certainly has the potential to be a game-changing, galaxy-altering danger. Magnus is seeking to bring each and every emergent psyker into his new kingdom, to harness their sorcerous powers in the name of the Changer of Ways. So we have a demon-elevated Magnus, more powerful than he's ever been, a rekindled and rebuilding Prospero, alongside the planet of the sorcerers, the hub and heart of his new kingdom empire, and a psychic threat to the entirety of mankind. That all certainly feels that when it comes time for Magnus to be stopped, and I mean truly stopped, not just annoyed by the actions of Mephiston, it's going to take an equally powerful threat in the name of the Emperor. And where does the Emperor turn when he needs to put down a threat? Why, he turns to his executioner. He turns to Leman Russ. No loyal Primarch is returning anytime soon. I'm not saying he is. But as we said already, it doesn't feel like Magnus's kingdom is going to be addressed anytime soon either. Prospero returned, the Thousand Suns and Magnus on the rise. A truly grave threat that possibly only the Emperor himself can comprehend. That all certainly feels fitting for the return of Russ to me. The one Primarch suited, dare I say destined, to face the threat of Magnus the Red once again. And as we've spoken about previously over the years, it's really felt like a rematch between the brothers is destiny, is fate, that the Crimson King and the Wolf King absolutely have to face each other again. Magnus has been fixated on getting revenge ever since the disappearance of Russ, multiple times over the years, unleashing his fury against the now Space Wolf chapter, ultimately gaining huge success with the sacrifice of Fenris's sister planet, Midgardia. For all the conflicts, for all the events between the sworn enemies, the most telling moment for me was when Magnus entered the Fang and faced a statue of his brother. And this transpired within the events of the novel Battle of the Fang. He walked up to the giant statue of Russ. It was, he had to admit, a good likeness. The ruthless energy of his gene brother had been perfectly captured. As Magnus approached it, he grew in stature. By the time he drew up to the image, his head was at the same height. They stood facing each other, just as they had done on Prospero. Magnus looked into the unseeing eyes of his old enemy and smiled. "Do you remember what you said to me, brother?" Magnus spoke aloud, his voice pure and powerful. His fingers twitched at his sides, eager for what was to come. "Do you remember what you said to me as we fought before the Pyramid of Photep? Do you remember the words you used?" "I do. As I recall, your face was tortured. Imagine that. The Master of Wolves, his ferocity twisted into grief. And yet you still carried out your duty. You always did what was asked of you. So loyal, so tenacious. Truly, you were the attack dog of the Emperor." Magnus lost his smile. "You took no pleasure in what you did. I knew that then, and I know it now. But all things change, my brother. I'm not the same as I was, and you're, well, let us not mention where you are now." Magnus put his arms out grasping the stone shoulders of the statue, pressing bronze fingers into the granite. So do not imagine there is a symmetry to my emotions as I do this. I will take pleasure in it. And I will take pleasure in seeing your hearth destroyed and your sons scattered. In the centuries to come, this small act will make me smile. A minor consolation for the hurt you inflicted on my innocent people in the name of ignorance. Magnus heaved, and the giant statue came free from its base, breaking off at the ankles with a crack of tortured stone. Manipulating the colossal weight easily, Magnus swung the figure into a face-up horizontal position and brought his knees up under the curved backbone. Ugh, goosebumps every single time I read that. The relationship of Russ and Magnus, so complex, yet so simple, so tragic. If that's not a tease of a return of Russ to come, the rematch of all rematches, the vengeance of the Wolf King unleashed, the exorcism of Magnus's pain, I don't know what is. It's just another step in their story. You can destroy a statue of Russ, Magnus. You can ravage the Fang and the Fenris system, but it's all done in the absence of Russ. There is too much history, too much pain left undone. For Leman Russ, a duty still to be performed. Prospero quite simply cannot be allowed to stand. He burned it once, he'll burn it again. As Magnus said himself, Russ was filled with grief in their last encounter. When he returns to Prospero again, when he sees what Magnus has become, the demons and powers he has sworn himself to, there will be no such turmoil. It will be the Wolf King, truly, completely unleashed. Again, it's not going to happen anytime soon, but this only helps the possibility of it being Russ, who is the one who will ultimately stop Magnus, who will put down Prospero once and for all. Because, like I said, Russ isn't coming back anytime soon. I'm not trying to say he is. No loyal Primarch is. If we even get one, it will be years and years away. But that all leaves time for the other narratives to be told, for Magnus's empire to build, for Prospero to flourish, for Magnus's plan to build to fruition. Could Guilliman stop him? Could L. Johnson? Of course. Could another returning loyal brother? Sure, why not? But there will always be that history, that story, the animosity, the tragedy, and dare I say the heartbreak between Magnus and Russ. And with Magnus truly poised to become a threat he hasn't been since the depths of the Siege of Terror, how can it not be Leman of the Russ, who is the one to face him now? But as always everyone, what do you think? Do you feel with the narratives across the Rift and Leviathan being told and developed in the foreseeable future, even Abaddon's plan still to be explained, does this all give time for Magnus and the New Kingdom to slowly build in the background? Does it give time for Prospero to become a beacon of darkness Magnus wishes it to be? Does this all raise the possibility, as small as it may be, that it could be the Wolf King who is the one who has to return to end it once again? To be the one to put Magnus down for the Emperor? Could you see another brother being the one who stops Magnus? Or, like me, Do you just see too much history between the two? Even now, 10,000 years later, their iconic duel still fresh in the memory of Magnus. Does it all have to be resolved or reignited, one way or the other? As always everyone, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.